In the stillness of the early morning, when the world has not yet fully awakened, there is a sacred opportunity to pause and acknowledge the gift that has been placed before us. A new morning is more than a routine moment on the clock. It is a divine invitation to begin again. Each breath we take is a quiet reminder that we have been entrusted with time, something we cannot earn, cannot purchase, and never deserve, yet it is graciously placed in our hands when we open our eyes and feel the light touch our face. It is heaven whispering that purpose is still alive within us. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter what mistakes were made or tears were shed, a new day carries the gentle message, you have another chance. Gratitude rises from understanding that not everyone who went to sleep last night woke up this morning. Not everyone who wished for another opportunity was given one. But here we are, standing in the gift of a day we did not create. And because of that, the first words from our lips should be words of thanks, not because everything in our life is perfect, not because every prayer has been answered, but because God saw something in us worth waking up again. Gratitude shifts our posture. It softens the heart, clears the mind, and opens the spirit. When we begin the day with appreciation, we choose to see the blessings rather than the burdens. There is a unique beauty in morning gratitude. It reminds us that yesterday's failures have no authority over today's possibilities. It tells us that every sunrise carries fresh mercy, fresh strength, and fresh opportunities. Gratitude allows us to walk into the day with expectation rather than anxiety. It repositions us from focusing on what we lack to acknowledging what we have been given. Sometimes the most powerful prayer is simply thank you. 3 words that can reroute the direction of an entire day. Because gratitude aligns the heart with God's goodness and creates space for new blessings to unfold. This key point emphasizes that gratitude is not passive. It is an active recognition that life itself is a miracle. Each morning carries a renewed chance to grow, to forgive, to heal, to believe again, and to move forward. When we thank God for the morning, we recognize His hand sustaining us, guiding us, and covering us. It is not just about waking up. It is about waking up with awareness. Awareness that despite challenges, despite obstacles, despite unanswered questions, we are still here. And being here means there is purpose left to walk out. As the morning begins, gratitude becomes a powerful posture of surrender and trust. It shifts the atmosphere around us. It opens our spirit to peace instead of worry. It trains our heart to look for God's fingerprints in the details of the day. When we thank God for a new morning, we are acknowledging that His grace carried us through the night and His mercy is ready to guide us through the day ahead. There comes a point in every believer's life where honesty becomes the doorway to transformation. Acknowledging our human weakness is not an admission of defeat, it is an admission of truth. We are not perfect, and we were never created to be perfect on our own. There are days when our strength runs thin, when our emotions feel heavy, when our thoughts wander into doubt, and when our hearts carry battles no one else can see. Silent struggles, private tears, hidden fears, these are the moments that remind us of how deeply we depend on God. When we reflect on the times we stumbled, The times we hesitated, the times we questioned our own worth or ability, we are not reflecting on failure. We are reflecting on the places where God's mercy showed up the strongest. Our weakness becomes the stage where God reveals his power. If life had gone smoothly at every turn, if we never tripped, never doubted, never broke down, we might have mistakenly believed that we were sustaining ourselves. But the truth is that in moments of weakness, something sacred happens. We discover that we are held by hands stronger than our fears. We find comfort in knowing that God steps into the spaces we cannot fill. When our own efforts fail, his grace steps forward. When our courage shakes, his strength becomes our foundation. When we lose clarity, his guidance steadies our steps. Acknowledging weakness is not about shame. It is about humility. It is about recognizing that we were never meant to carry life by ourselves. The moments when we felt overwhelmed, when our hearts were tired, when we fought battles internally while smiling externally, those moments did not disqualify us. They revealed our humanity, and in that humanity, God's compassion becomes more visible. His mercy rises like a shield, covering the cracks in our spirit and reminding us that he never leaves us in the places where life makes us fragile. There are struggles people will never know about. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones waged in silence, the thoughts we fight late at night, the anxiety we hide behind our laughter, the pain we bury beneath our responsibilities. But even in those quiet, unseen places, God's eyes are on us. He sees the weight on our shoulders, even when others don't. He understands the complexities of our emotions, even when we cannot articulate them. He knows the fears we tried to bury, the dreams we're scared to chase, and the wounds we wish would heal faster. In acknowledging our weakness, we are acknowledging God's presence. We're recognizing that the moments where we felt least capable were the very moments his mercy carried us. The times we stumbled were often the times he steadied us. The times we doubted were the times he whispered reassurance. The times we cried silently were the times he drew closest. Weakness is not a sign that we are failing. It is a sign that we are human, and God meets humanity with mercy, not judgment. So when we acknowledge our weakness, we are not diminishing ourselves. We are opening the door for God's strength to step in. We are giving him room to heal, to restore, to rebuild, and to lift us, because every moment of weakness becomes a reminder that we were never walking alone, and every struggle becomes a testimony of how far his mercy is willing to reach. Grace and mercy are two of the most profound gifts God pours over our lives, and understanding their depth changes the way we see everything. Grace is God giving us what we could never earn, and mercy is God withholding what we truly deserve. Together, they create a covering so powerful that it reaches into every corner of our existence. When we wake up each morning, we are not standing on our own achievements or our own strength. We are standing on the foundation of God's unending compassion. His grace wraps around our imperfections, and his mercy steps into the gaps where we fall short. Every breath, every step, every moment we are able to keep going is a testimony to these divine gifts that operate quietly and continually. There are times in life when grace protects us from things we didn't even know were forming against us. There are moments when mercy steps in before the consequences of our choices catch up with us. And often we only realize later how God shielded us, redirected us, or carried us through situations that could have broken us. Grace is not just the favor we see, it's also the favor we never knew we received. Mercy is not just God forgiving us, it is God guarding us, covering us, and lifting us when we feel unworthy or overwhelmed. This key point reminds us that grace is not limited. It doesn't run out when life becomes messy. It doesn't shrink when we fall short. It doesn't disappear when we make mistakes. God's grace is abundant, overflowing, and available every single day. It covers our past, strengthens our present, and prepares our future. And mercy works right alongside it, wiping away the shame, lifting the burdens, and quieting the voices that try to convince us that we are beyond saving. Mercy whispers that we are loved despite our flaws, and grace declares that we are capable because God is working in us and through us. When we celebrate God's grace and mercy, we are acknowledging that we were never meant to carry life alone. We recognize that our story is held together not by perfect decisions, but by divine intervention. There are moments when we didn't know how to move forward, but grace carried us. Moments when we expected judgment, but mercy embraced us. Moments when we were ready to give up, but God stepped in with a strength beyond our own. These gifts are not temporary. They are renewed daily, flowing from a love that never weakens. Grace gives us the courage to rise after falling, and mercy gives us the peace to try again without the weight of guilt holding us down. Grace opens doors we could not open ourselves, and mercy closes doors that would have destroyed us. Grace empowers, mercy restores. Together, they create a spiritual balance that keeps us grounded and lifted at the same time. When we truly understand this, our perspective on life shifts. We no longer approach our day with fear or shame. We approach it knowing that we are covered. To celebrate God's grace and mercy is to celebrate the truth that we are loved beyond measure. It is to acknowledge that we are held, supported, strengthened, and sustained by something far greater than our circumstances. Even when life challenges us, grace gives us the ability to stand, and mercy gives us the comfort of knowing that we are never beyond God's reach. Every new day brings with it a set of decisions, challenges, opportunities, and uncertainties. There are moments when the path ahead feels clear, and then there are seasons when even the next step seems clouded by confusion or fear. In those moments, asking God for strength and guidance becomes essential. It is not a sign of weakness, but a declaration that we trust the one who sees the entire path, even when we cannot see past the moment we are standing in. When we ask God to guide us, we are acknowledging that our own understanding has limits, but his wisdom is limitless. When we ask for strength, we are opening ourselves to a divine empowerment that lifts us above the weight of stress, doubt, and circumstances. The prayer for strength is not just about physical endurance. It is about inner resilience. It is about the courage to face what is uncomfortable, the patience to endure what is slow, the faith to hold on when things don't make sense, and the discipline to keep going even when discouragement tries to pull us back. Strength is the ability to rise when we feel drained, to believe when the situation tries to intimidate us, and to move forward when fear whispers that we should retreat. And the beautiful part is this: when our own strength reaches its limit, God's strength begins. His power fills the spaces where our endurance ends. This is why relying on Him is not optional. It is essential for spiritual survival. Guidance is just as important. Life can present us with choices that seem overwhelming. Roads can look similar, yet their destinations are completely different. People may give opinions, but only God sees the full picture. When we ask Him to direct our steps, we are surrendering the need to control everything. We are inviting Him into our decisions. Big and small, guidance from God leads us away from unnecessary battles and toward divine opportunities. It protects us from wrong connections and aligns us with people, places, and things that are meant to elevate us. Asking for guidance also means trusting His timing. There will be moments when it feels as though God is delaying, but in reality, He is preparing. There will be seasons when doors close unexpectedly, but sometimes a closed door is protection, not rejection. Guidance is not always about movement. Sometimes it is about stillness. It is about waiting when every part of us wants to rush, and listening when distractions compete for our attention. When we pray for guidance, we learn to be sensitive to God's voice, patient with His process, and confident in His direction. Together, strength and guidance create a powerful spiritual combination. Strength helps us stand firm, and guidance ensures that we are standing in the right place. Strength helps us endure, and guidance ensures that we endure for the right reasons. Strength keeps us from collapsing under pressure, and guidance keeps us from walking into unnecessary trouble. When we ask God for both, we are inviting Him to shape our steps and fortify our spirit. This key point reminds us that we do not have to navigate life blindly. We do not have to rely solely on our own understanding, our past experiences, or our emotional impulses. God is the source of clarity, the source of courage, and the source of direction. When we seek His guidance and strength, we move with confidence, even when we cannot see the full path. We walk knowing that every step is held by His hand and every moment is covered by His grace. There are parts of our lives that rarely make it into our conversations, moments we carry privately because we feel no one would fully understand, hidden wounds, silent disappointments, and memories that linger longer than we'd like. These are the places where we need God's healing the most. Emotional restoration is not something we can force, rush, or manufacture. It is a process that unfolds when we open the deepest parts of our hearts to the one who already knows what is hurting. Sometimes we don't even have the words to explain what we feel, but God understands the language of our tears and the weight behind our silence. He sees the pressure we hide behind our strength and hears the cries we bury beneath our responsibilities. Life has a way of leaving marks on us, some from people we trusted, others from moments we never expected. There are disappointments that break us quietly, betrayals that shake our confidence, and seasons of loss that leave us feeling empty. Yet even in those painful places, God's mercy meets us with gentleness. He doesn't rush our healing or criticize our weakness. Instead, he leans in closer, restoring us piece by piece, layer by layer. Emotional restoration is his work, not ours. All we must do is allow him access to the places we tend to hide. There are battles within the heart that can drain us without anyone noticing. Smiles can cover sadness. Strength can hide exhaustion. Success can mask emptiness. But when we come before God honestly, without pretending, without minimizing what we feel, he begins to pour healing into the cracks we thought were permanent. What feels broken to us is never beyond repair for him. He specializes in restoring what feels damaged, reviving what feels numb, and renewing what feels lost. The areas of our life that seem too complicated for us are simple for him because he knows the beginning of the wound, the depth of it, and the perfect way to heal it. Emotional restoration also requires releasing what we were never meant to carry. There are burdens we've held for so long that they've become familiar, but familiarity doesn't mean they belong to us. Heartache, regret, guilt, and frustration can settle into the soul when we hold onto them, but God calls us to lay them down. He invites us to shift the weight from our shoulders to his. Healing begins when we stop trying to manage pain alone and allow ourselves to be comforted by his presence. It's in that surrender that peace begins to grow. And then there is renewal, the part of emotional restoration where God breathes new life into places that once felt empty. This is where strength returns, hope rises, and clarity slowly takes shape. Renewal doesn't erase what happened, but it transforms how we carry it. It gives us the ability to look back without being pulled backward. It allows us to move forward without the emotional heaviness that used to hold us hostage. Renewal reminds us that the story isn't over and that God is still writing chapters filled with purpose, peace, and promise. This key point reflects the truth that God is deeply concerned with the condition of our hearts. He doesn't just want us to survive emotionally. He wants us to heal, to breathe again, to trust again, and to live again. Emotional restoration is his assurance that no matter what has wounded us, his mercy can reach it, his grace can cover it, and his love can revive it. There is power in the words we speak over our lives, and there is authority in the declarations we make each morning. When we begin the day by boldly speaking blessings, protection, and divine guidance over ourselves, we shift the atmosphere around us. Declaring that this day is blessed is more than optimism. It is spiritual alignment. It is choosing to walk in the reality that God has already prepared goodness, strength, and purpose for the hours ahead. When we proclaim that our minds are sound, our spirits are strong, and our paths are guided, we are not merely making statements. We are activating faith and inviting God's promises to manifest throughout the day. These declarations remind us that we are not stepping into a new day empty-handed. We are stepping in covered, equipped, and empowered by heaven. Blessings are not just material things. They are moments of peace in chaos, clarity in confusion, strength in weakness, and favor in unexpected places. When we speak blessings over ourselves, we are declaring that we expect God to move, to open doors, and to provide what we need. We are positioning our mindset to recognize opportunity rather than obstacles. A blessed day doesn't mean a perfect day. It means a day guided by divine presence, regardless of what unfolds. Protection is another essential part of this declaration. There are things we cannot see, battles we are not aware of, and situations forming around us that only God can intercept. When we declare protection, we are acknowledging that God is our shield, our covering, and our defender. This is not about fear, it is about trust. It is trusting that God goes before us, stands beside us, and guards what concerns us. Declaring protection means believing that no attack, no confusion, and no chaos can derail what God has ordained. It means walking through the day with confidence, not anxiety, because we know we are spiritually covered. Guidance is equally powerful. Life is filled with choices, some simple, some life-changing. Declaring that our path is guided ensures that we move with divine insight, not random impulses. It allows us to trust that every step has purpose, every delay has intention, and every open or closed door is part of a larger plan. When we affirm that God is guiding our steps, we silence confusion, fear, and doubt. We move forward believing that even if we can't see the full picture, the one leading us can. This guidance keeps us from wandering into unnecessary trouble and aligns us with opportunities meant for our growth and advancement. These declarations also strengthen the inner parts of us that often feel tired or discouraged. Speaking over our mind reinforces peace and clarity. Speaking over our spirit reinforces perseverance and confidence. Speaking over our day reinforces expectation and hope. When we open our mouths to declare blessings, we open our hearts to receive them. When we speak protection, we align ourselves with God's covering. When we declare guidance, we tune our decisions to His wisdom. This key point emphasizes that we have the authority through God to shape the tone and direction of our day. We are not victims of circumstance, we are vessels of purpose. The moment we declare that our day is blessed, our mind is stable, our heart is guarded, and our steps are guided, we establish spiritual boundaries that negativity cannot cross. We invite peace where there was worry, strength where there was doubt, and clarity where there was confusion. These declarations are not empty words. They are faith-filled affirmations that invite God's presence into every moment of the day.